Hello, everybody, and we're back on the late night shift of the Deadline podcast. My name is Ryan Clifford, and joining me in this podcast is Sam McCool and John. As I said, we've been on for about nearly 6 years now. As yet, John, nothing with Celtic with the looks at I don't think there have any deals coming in. But obviously, there's rumours about Sorrell going out on loan. We know that's happened. Nothing's came to fruition yet. Rodriguez obviously away on loan to Ostente, Ad Montgomery, Aberdeen. So there's been a few outgoings, but no incomings as yet.
Nah, the great thing is, for the first time in many years since these transfer windows come in, I think Celtic's done their business early, which is unbelievable, because normally, you know yourself, leave it at the last minute, try and save money, but Ange, we trust in it. The board's trusted him. His first few signings, he proved he's got an eye for a player, and I've kind of let him just crack on. And great business so far.
Like John says there, Sam, obviously through Ange's two windows so far, he's brought in some brilliant players, very worth value-wise. I would say they're phenomenal value. Obviously, we can touch on the start of the window. We brought in Kyogo for a handsome fee, I think 4.5 million, 4 million roughly. At the time, it came out the blue, and I think Sam Barry looks at it, it's an absolute gem inside because for me, the price we're paid and what we could get from the future is phenomenal.
Aye, definitely. And obviously, Sean said, like, the first, all of them, but I'm obviously focusing on the first couple of signings they made. They came in and made an instant impact, and we've obviously said it before. So, and obviously, as he pointed out as well, it's just a case of you've proved to us that these signings you make can make an instant impact, and it doesn't take 6 months to a year further on down the line for them to make that impact. So he can't, obviously, again, as John said, he sees an eye for a player. They've sanctioned great moves for players like the likes of, obviously we said earlier on this morning, with Juranovic, for example, who for £2.5 million is an absolute bargain in my opinion. But I think Ange said, obviously we're talking the new anyway about the first window. I think he had a great first window. He brought in near enough a full team, just over a full team. And I'd be shocked if you, John, or any other fan could tell me one player that didn't have an impact of some sort on that team.
Yeah, definitely. I think, John, the fact that he's brought in so many players, got them gelling and got them kind of into his system already, it shows you that, I'm not going to say he's an elite manager, but it shows you he is very, very good at his job.
Aye, the players that he signed, I would say most of them have been an instant success, haven't they? I was saying to Ryan earlier, Sam, out of the maybe 16, 17 players he signed, probably 13 players we could make a right good profit on, which is unbelievable business. Unbelievable.
Aye, when it comes to the value, as John says there, Sam, you can go through the players. Kyogo, you probably double your money on them. If you sign Jota, you can probably sell him for treble. Vickers, maybe a few million more if you sign permanently. Maeda, Gucci, O'Reilly could be a big one, especially Sam for 1.5 million. Already on the basis of these 2 games he's played, he's worth more than that. I think it's an absolute snip. I think the only reason we're going for that price, Sam, was because he played with League One and MK Dons aren't, I wouldn't say, they're a decent sized club for down south, but I think I think that's maybe why we're going for so cheap.
You might call them a Diddy team.
No saying that, mate. I'm not as disrespectful as you, mate, to everyone Rovers. But I would say no, they're not a team. I would say they're just not a club at our level, but I think we got a cheap value because of the league.
Aye. But I think I totally agree with you. But I think what I was going to say was it's a good but a bad thing, because obviously you can get bargains like that for leagues like League One, and obviously, in all honesty, no disrespect to teams like that, because there is some, for their standards, some decent teams in that league. But what I was going to say was the only negative is teams like your MK Dons and obviously again teams like that might take look if they've got wee gems in their teams and go, well, Celtic have bought Matt O'Reilly for £1.5 million. So they're going to maybe bump the price up. I'm not saying you're obviously like £6-7 million, but just because they'll look at it and go, well, if they can get 1.5, then maybe we can get that, or 2, or whatever. But I think Matt O'Reilly, again, I know it's only 2 games in, but I think he's got the potential, and he's shown it obviously already to be a mainstay in this team. I know we obviously said it, somebody said it in the chat, I can't remember, about Turnbull. I think it's going to be very hard for Turnbull to get back in this team now when he comes back from injury. I don't think it's the same with Julian. I don't think it's a case of him just walking straight back in the team now. And obviously in Turnbull's case, with how well O'Reilly's done so far, and obviously Hatate, I know they're different players, but obviously they're playing the same position. So it just shows you, going back to the whole recruitment by Ange, it just shows you how good that recruitment is when players like that have been there for a decent amount of years aren't guaranteed to just, again, walk straight back in the team.
Yeah, and obviously, John, like you mentioned, some of the players that we could probably sell on for value. I think the boy Hatate seemed to steal to what I've seen. I know it's only 2 games, but I said in a previous pod today that for me, he just screams Nakamura about him. It's just effortless. His ball control, his ball retention, just everything. And again, it could be Wednesday and it could be a different Hatate, it could be what we want, but I think on the whole, I've been impressed with most of the signings, John. Obviously, Liam Shaw's away in Motherwell. He might come back next year and get more experience, but I'll probably say the only deal that I'm not really bothered about is the UTA deal to Ostente. It's an option to buy as well. So again, I know supposedly Anne spoke to him about the move and whatever else, but for me, John, if you get an option to buy with a view to the loan deal, then for me, John, that stinks. I don't really rate you. You can maybe go if you like that place.
As long as you make a profit on it. When kind of Ryan started the pod, Sam, I was saying to him, there's talent everywhere. They just need a chance and whatever, right place, right time. And we were talking about Ryan was big on Ivan Toney, and I'm like, he's playing the 3rd tier in English football. I wouldn't be buying anybody for that. As a team, we're trying to get into the Champions League. How can you go for that into our Champions League? But I kind of changed my mind a wee bit, because I think it was Robert as well was saying maybe that's the level that Celtic are going to have to go and buy players from, because Celtic's just not get the finance anymore. But I think the boy Riley proves that there is talent in that division.
There is definitely. I wouldn't disagree with that.
I think O'Reilly, Sam, John says, the fact is, I like the fact he's admitted that he's still got to condition himself better. Like he said, my calves were tight, and he was basically like, wow, 17,000 at Tynecastle. Just wait till you get 60,000 fans at Celtic Park on Wednesday, mate. It's going to be lightning. It's going to be probably the biggest night of your life you've ever experienced. But I do believe that guys like Hatate and O'Reilly, I've no qualms about him playing Wednesday. I've no qualms about him the rest of the season. So I do believe, Sam, that it's meant to be the value we'll pay for him. You can pay £10 million and get a quality player, but these days the chance you get a quality player for £1.5 million, £1 million, it's very, very few and far between. But the fact that we've got Hatate, again, I've not really seen much of Gucci, but what I've seen him against Alex Agua, he's done okay. But I just believe that everybody we've signed, as I said to you today, the Irish are 7.5 million. That's phenomenal business, man. Croatia's right back. You're going for basically, I don't know, nothing. Let's be fair, £2.5 million Celtics, nothing new compared to what it used to be in the past. So I believe, Sam, that like John says, everybody we've bought, maybe barring 1 or 2, everybody's worth value in years to come.
I totally. And it just goes to show not even just obviously it's a different topic, but the night and day between us last year to now, it goes to show night and day between the recruitment from last year to now, because obviously the likes of Barkas and Ayeti, £10 million combined between the two of them, where we've got the likes of Juranovic, Maeda, Kyogo for less than that. So that's 3 quality players for the price of less than 2. So it's just wee things like that, and it's as well. I think I can't mind who the players, but we get a couple, at least 4 or 5 players for the same price that we sell Ayer for to Brentford. So it's just like there's more. It's not a case, as you say, going out and buying 1 or 2 quality players. I would rather we bought more players like that cost less, if that makes sense, for the price of like we sell players. So we're getting, I would say, better value for money. And obviously, as you said earlier, there is the likes of getting wee gems like O'Reilly, although it's obviously easier said than done. But I just think, again, as I said, the recruitment for this year to last is just completely, it's scarily good, because it's, I can't remember to you what podcast you said on earlier on the night, but there's no leaks, there's no nothing coming out now. It's just boom, hitting you right in the face, and you're like, right, okay, you're surprised. Like the biggest one I'd probably say between the 2 Windies was Kyogo for me personally. Obviously when that came out, I was like, who's he? I was like, but it's refreshing. Somebody used that word earlier, and that's the correct word to use. It's refreshing. So I've been more than happy at the last 2 Windies.
I agree with you, mate. Regarding obviously the leaks and stuff about transfers, John, I think the one for me was Jota. Jota just came out of the blue. Nobody heard of the guy, nobody heard the rumours. Abada as well, we were spoken about in the morning, they were signed that night. Years ago in the past, it would take days and weeks for Celtic to get a line on a deal out of the line. So in that aspect, John, I think there's obviously changes in the back room and the board level are either what they're doing, because to get the deals done early at the start of both windows is something that you don't really get with Celtic in recent times anyway.
Aye, for example, when Will was doing his agent, he was telling us that Celtic try to get Ryan Christie in August, and eventually we didn't get him to the very last day of the next window, which is it's poor, isn't it? It's really poor recruitment. Just probably try to save a few quid, but hopefully the days out of the window, because Ange has proved he's got an eye for a player. We're probably quick to dismiss leagues for the other side of the world because we don't know anything about them. For example, America as well. There's probably a few gems in America kicking about as well. It's just going to be wait to get snapped up into. That's another untapped market, because the Americans are throwing money at football because they want to get in the World Cup. They want to win the fucking World Cup. They want to win everything. They ain't united enough, but there's talent everywhere. We've had a few Israeli boys over the years for that one agent as well, haven't we? That was a kind of untapped market, wasn't it? Kyle, he was a belter to one of the hammer throwers that had him for across the water. Talent everywhere.
Aye, and obviously Abada, John, we can talk about Abada. I think he's been a shining light for Celtic. I know he's a bit raw. The odd game he's been consistent, but for me, his stats and his goals, for the price again we pay for him, you can't really question the manager's doesn't own players at the moment, because again, I know he might have come in to play maybe as rotational and then build up to the first team, and he's been through the deep end, but for me, John Abada has been brilliant.
He's maybe got thrown into the deep end due to the inconsistency of Mikey Johnson, James Forrest, for example. And he's probably played more than we would maybe anticipate it. But as you say, his stats are phenomenal for such a young boy coming from the other end of the world. He doesn't know anybody, different league. It's fucking cold here and all. So I think he's done exceptional. I was a wee bit unsure at first, a bit wasteful and whatever, but stats stats tell me otherwise now. And I think everybody's grown to the young boy now, to be fair.
Aye, for me, he's a mainstay at the moment. Like I says to this morning, Sam, I think James Forrest is going to be a rotational. He might play certain games, but I think if Abada's fit, depending on obviously the game, but most of the time I think he'll be Jota and Abada if them are fit. For me, Abada's been brilliant, Sam. I've no qualms about him going forward, and again, it's given me more reason to trust Ange signs.
Aye, no, because I'm like John. I did doubt him, maybe no doubt, but I had my reservations about him at first, because obviously, as John pointed out, his age, coming out to a new country. I know obviously he's pals with Beaton because obviously they're both Israeli. I get that, but as one person, like out obviously a country, however many. But he's been on to impress me. Like, he's younger than me, and I'm sitting here talking about him, so that just proves everything. But I think he's incredible. As I said earlier on the day, I think the only thing he can work on is his end product. I think he's got it. It's not a case of he's just not got an end product whatsoever. And I mean that in terms of crosses. People maybe listen and go, but he's scoring. I'm like, aye, I know it's more these crosses, these balls in. But I already was now, after obviously he's sort of made me shut up and to eat my words about my reservations about him. But I think he's a mainstay in the team. And as John said, he's probably, I'm not saying that because I know we spoke about it earlier when you said he's maybe not necessarily a developmental player, but because he's age, he probably wasn't going to get thrusted straight in the team straight away. But he had to, because we had no other option. Obviously, with Forrest out injured, we had no other winger. And he's took the bull by the horns and just obviously went late this season. And obviously, as you say, his numbers speak for themselves.
And also another guy we can talk about, who's, John, I would say, took some criticism to start off with, and he still kind of a bit of scapegoat in some fans' eyes. Starfelt, I give he was a big money signing, $4.5 million. Ange basically came out and says, I get the media, listen mate, I signed him, I know what he's all about. So he's kind of already putting, I would say it's good management, because he's already said, listen, I've signed him, so if he fails, it's my fault, not his fault, I've signed him, which I like. He's taking responsibility for the signings. I think he's come on a game now, John. I do believe he's got a slight mistake in him, which could cost you, but I think he's tackling wise, I think he's a good time in his tackle. Him and Vickers have got a good understanding, and I think it helps as well. Janovic kind of covers the back because his pace is very intelligent, Janovic. But on Starfelt, John, I think he's been okay. I wouldn't say he's been unbelievable, but I think he's not been one of the worst signings that we've had. He's a Swedish internationalist. I think he will come good again the more time he plays, and again the more season under his belt. But I would say he's been relatively on the whole, it's a positive signing, Starfelt.
One thing for sure, he didn't hit the ground running, didn't you know?
No.
A few dodgy performances early doors didn't help him. The fans are against him a wee bit because you've got high expectations of an international football player, haven't you? Struggled a wee bit at first. Come on it again, went off it again. Now he seems as if he's hit the ground running again. He's building up a partnership with Carter Vickers, which is very important. I think it was last year with mixing the centre halves up pretty regularly, but they've got a partnership. They've been together basically. Well, Welsh has been in a few games, but apart from that, they two's been a mainstay in the centre half. It's very important. I think it's very important you get a back four settled and playing week in, week out. We all knew as soon as Juranovic started playing at right back, Tony Ralston wouldn't be in the team. Juranovic was playing at left back. His pedigree tells he's a phenomenal football player. The level he's played at and what he is playing at internationally. It's just that left back situation for me. You've got your right back settled, your two centre half settled. The goalkeeper's been a fantastic signing. He's a he's a big player for Celtic. And he's had to be as well. He's made a lot of good saves. But he's more than just... He's very vocal in the park. As I've seen him running out the Ange and discussing things, etc. But it's a left-back situation. I'm not saying I'm worried, but I would just like a settled left-back. You're dipping between like Juranovic, Taylor, Scales. Who's it going to be?
It's, as I've said all in previous pods tonight, that the left back, it doesn't concern me, but it's you want a left back to play week in, week out and cement his place. Taylor and Scales for me, I think Scales for me, Sam is a better option going forward. Taylor maybe defensively is maybe better equipped, but I want to say the two of them are be like they need to play. I think we need to sign better. But as obviously I touched on with Starfelt, Sam, he did have a rough start, but I think he's slowly coming into showing us what he's made of. Again, he can make the odd mistake, but if you want to talk about defences, I'd rather have Vickers and Starfelt than Goldson and Bassey for 100%.
Aye, definitely. As you say, he's got that mistake on him, but I think, like, I'm going to contradict myself because I didn't hate him when he made the rocky start that he did. I just thought, as he like had this slight reservation about him. But ever since his first couple of games of the season, I think he's been, again, he's not been unbelievable, but the word I was going to use, he's been overhated. He's been a scapegoat. That's the best word I could probably use. And again, I say that, but I agree with what you say. He has got that mistake in him. But we've not got, I know it's not solely down to him, but he plays a big part in it. We've not got the best defence in the league for nothing.
Yeah.
So 13 goals.
Aye. So it's things like that. And again, that's down to obviously him, Vickers, and whoever plays fullback, and obviously Joe Hart. It's down to all five of them. But again, he plays his part. So I just think he gets slated too much. I think it's different situations and personal circumstances, but I think it's similar to Shane Duffy. Shane Duffy was too much of a scapegoat because the full team was performing shite last year. But he was targeted because he was this big name coming down for the Premier League. I know obviously, again, it's different because Starfelt came for Ruben Kazan, but my point is, it's just easily, players like them are just easily targeted for whatever reason it is, and they're just made a scapegoat for whatever reason. But I think the last couple of games, especially Dundee United and Hearts, see if it wasn't for Starfelt and the game at Tynecastle, we probably would have lost that game. Because the ball, like one of the balls came in and his timing was impeccable, and he came in and he just like, thought, you know what, fuck it, and booted it like out for a corner. It's just wee things like that people don't notice, and they just, because my saying is in life, not just like that. If you do 99 good things for somebody and you do one bad thing, they'll focus on the one bad thing than the good things you've done. Yeah. So people look at Starfelt in a game and go, "Oh, he's done shite," but you will miss all the wee good things he's done, and it annoys me because now, sorry, just to finish off, you don't get, as you said, you're not a Swedish internationalist for nothing, and also you don't get paid £4.5 million for. So, but I just think he's been made a scapegoat, to be honest.
I think to start off with, mate, it was. I'm just seeing a thing on Twitter there. Celtic have spent £5 million on 5 players, John. Hatate 1.4, Gucci 850, Maeda 1.6, O'Reilly 1.5, and Johnny Kenny, who'll be in the B team, for 1.25. £5 million for 5 players. 4 of maybe be no mainstays, but 4 will be playing in the squad most of the time. So that's phenomenal business, John, at any level.
That isn't half. That's what I'm talking about. Due to the success of his early signings, the board have trusted them. So, got to take my hat off to the big one.
And obviously you mentioned Joe Hart as well, John. I think he's been pitiful to Celtic this year. He's a leader. Obviously McGregor's a captain, but I think Hart and himself's a captain. He plays like a sweeper. He doesn't just play like a goalkeeper. He's just so much confidence when you know that if you're 1-1 with him or there's a save to be made, he'll make it. Last year, there was going to be happening in goals. You didn't know if it was going to be 5-0 or if it was going to be, you know what I mean? It was a shit show. But for me, Joe Hart is, if he gets injured, as I says, are you confident with Scott Bain coming in? No. Are you confident with Barkas? Probably no. So you've got some options with Joe Hart there now, and for me, Joe Hart's he's for me he's the best goalkeeper in Scotland now. I think McGregor's on the way down, but I did say in previous pods tonight that McGregor has been a superb goalkeeper, and I've no doubt about that. Anybody can say he's no. I think they're lying just because he's Rangers. For me, I think Joe Hart's superb for £1 million, John.
Aye, I don't really think it's probably the one position you wouldn't be comfortable if he wasn't playing. We've got options at right back, left back. Everywhere else, you've got 5 or 6 players that can play in the front three as well. I don't think you've got a substitute goalkeeper to come anywhere near Joe Hart. So I just pray he doesn't get injured, because he's such an important player in the team. And the changing room as well, he's supposed to be a big voice in the changing room. He's got so much experience winning the leagues with Man City. He's played in Italy, played with Spurs, West Ham. I'd actually forgot he played with Spurs and West Ham as well. He's been inspired signing. Sam Ryan wanted him last year. He was like, what about Joe Hart? He would only cost you buttons or whatever. I'm like, nah, he's done. But the only thing I would say about, he's going to fuck up a few kickouts, isn't he? Try to be football. I think we've all accepted that's going to happen most games now.
Don't even get me started on that, John. Don't even get me started.
I know. I don't think that's the way to play either, but all the coaches copy each other, don't they?
Stuff like that every time he does it, man.
They've all copied fucking Guardiola, haven't they? So they all want their goalies to play.
But if I'm not mistaken, that was the main reason to get rid of him, because he didn't fit his style of play. Aye,
that's right.
But obviously as well, brought in Giakoumakis, Sam. So far, he's no been a superstar. He's not been wild, Giakoumakis. He's this or that, but I think Wednesday will be a big marker for him if he plays. I think he will play. So I do believe there's something in him. I do believe he's got quality in certain aspects of his game. Whether or not it's going to be every week at Celtic, we don't know. But I think Wednesday's a massive, massive game for him personally and as a club, because if he plays well, it's his jersey to lose. If he plays well and scores, or he plays really well, then it's his jersey to lose, because Kyogo and Maeda might come back in when he's back from international duty. But if you're starting, it's your jersey to lose. It's the same with Alison. He was playing well, but he got injured out of the team. Janovic went right back, playing well, and I did say when Janovic came in, he would be a right back long term. He was signed to be the right back. Alison was signed because he done well, and then a new deal because he done well, and it was a backup option. And to be fair, for me, they couldn't give him a new deal because he was playing well enough. He deserved it. For me, guys like Scott Bain and Taylor don't deserve new deals, but Ralph did deserve his deal. But I think on the whole with Giakoumakis, Sam, I think Wednesday's a big marker for him to put down and announce his Celtic career.
I definitely. I believe he's got it in him to be, maybe no, I was going to say far as like maybe Celtic's number one striker. I don't think maybe that, because I think Kyogo's going to be, like, regardless, me personally, I think he's going to be the number one. As you say, if he does go out and has a great performance on Wednesday, which I hope he does, I wouldn't wish any ill will towards the guy. I agree with you. I reckon he's got a strong part to play. As we've said before, he offers us something different that, and I know they're different players, but that maybe Maeda offers, or Kyogo. And I reckon he's got a massive, massive part to play, contrary to what other fans seem to believe. I've watched videos and other, I'm not going to obviously name them, but other like podcasters and whatever that have wrote him off. I don't know what happened there, sorry. Who have wrote him off, and he's been compared to Harold Bratback, and I'm just like, you can't write him off. He's he's just not a good run at a couple of. Obviously, I mean, apart from now, he's just not a run at a good couple of games yet to cement out his place or even get an attempt. So, aye, as you say, it's a massive game for him on Wednesday personally, obviously along with the team. And like I said, I hope he does go out and has a great game. I hope he scores 5 goals, but that's just obviously wishful thinking. But I reckon the big man's got a big part to play this year. Like I said, contrary to what people believe and are saying on social media and other podcasts and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm the same, mate. I think he's a vital part to what we need to do the rest of the year. Because obviously, Yeti, it looks like he's going to be staying, but he can maybe go on loan. Sam's away. But maybe obviously John Ayeti can maybe go on loan. Maybe after the window's shut.
Can he still go on loan? Aye.
I think he can go on loan to other clubs.
Other countries, is it?
I think he can still go in other countries at other clubs. But I think Giacomakis is going to be Maeda and Kyogo. I think they'll be the 3 that's going to be playing. Ayeti might go on loan, but I think he'll be the fourth choice. But I think overall, for me, with Giacomakis, I think for the value as well we're going for, I think it's, if he fails, it's not a big disaster because he was only £1.5 to £2 million or so.
Aye, you've got Giacomakis is totally different for all of our other forward-going players. He's a big lumpy lad. The rest are all kind of wee winger, frail kind of boys. Celtic's got, if you include Ayeti and Mikey Johnson, I think Celtic's maybe get 7 options for the front 3. That's brilliant for a manager to have. You've got Abada, Jota, Giacomakis, Maeda, Kyogo, Mikey Johnson and Ayeti. You go 7. And James Forrest, that'd be 8 options you've got in the front 3. That's phenomenal to pick for that if they're all fit and firing. But unfortunately, Ayeti's never been firing due to, I think, Celtic no playing to his strengths. He's a penalty box player. Last season was just a bad season. As Ryan says, just write it off and forget about it. But it's killed his fucking Celtic career that season, isn't it?
Yeah.
As a Giacomakis, it's totally different from the other 7 guys we can have up top. I think he's going to play on Wednesday myself. Abada and Jota as well for me. That's my front 3 on Wednesday. I'll pin their fullbacks back, hopefully. But I think we've got too much pace up top to cause him too much trouble. I don't rate their defence at all. I think our front 3 is going to have too much.
I agree, John. I know Sammy spoke about the game briefly this morning, so I do believe that going forward we've got too much, and I know there's some criticism of the defence that we've got, but we've got the best defence in Scotland by stats wise. I don't think we've been that bad defensively. I think the only thing that stops us for any clean sheets is set pieces. Because very rarely our teams open us up. It's meant to be set pieces or corner kicks or free kicks, set piece wise. So, but again, Sam, overall, the transfers for Ange, what's your overall riding feeling the 2 windows so far for the gaffer?
I think unless obviously either one of you or anybody that's listening can tell me differently. I don't think there's one complaint or criticism I've got any signings he's made, to be honest. Because as we said earlier, there's not one signing that's made some sort of an impact. I think the one that maybe no goes under the radar, because everybody obviously focuses on the likes of Jota and Kyogo and maybe Carter Vickers, for example. I know we've obviously mentioned it, but I'm saying other people might overlook it. It's Joe Hart. I'd never... Obviously, at the time, that's a fantastic signing, but seeing the impact he's had, both on and off the pitch, outstanding. And again, I know you said it to John earlier on, for £1 million, but you can't buy experience like that. It's if we didn't go for that, we'd be absolute fools naughty. I just think he's been an absolutely unbelievable signing, and he's just we've not had a goal like that that's vocal, and I've said it in podcasts ages ago. That instills confidence in your back four. If you've got a goalie behind you that you know will, like, again, be vocal and like be there, and like, because we don't. I know he's changed now slightly, but we never got that last year with the likes of Barkas, Bain, Connor Hazard, etc. So, Hart for me, was outstanding. But overall, over these two windows, again, I don't think the big man's get anything to be, again, disappointed with, in my opinion, anyway. But obviously, you know what he's like. He'll probably go, wish I get this done. But us as fans, again, I would say personally, he's not got one thing to be disappointed, because all the signings have been top class.
And obviously yourself, John, I know we spoke about obviously the value-wise, it's been a superb window, but I think quality as well, it's been really good.
The thing is as well, most of the players he's signed have come in and played. A lot of teams sign guys, a lot of squad players, whatever. It was probably a necessity. Most of the boys had to play. But the impact of guys like Kyogo has been absolutely refreshing. I wasn't looking forward to this season, to be honest with you, a few months ago. But full of hope now. I can only see Celtic getting better and stronger, and all going well. You don't want to look too far down the road. Next summer, you spend again, don't you? You improve your team, your squad.
I would say so. I think that's the thing under Ange. I think it's progression. Every game we're getting better, every transfer window we're getting better. He's slowly getting the dead wood out. I would say guys who might not want to be here, or guys who aren't going to make it. But I do believe that some of the quality we've signed, Martin from the YouTube says that, even lads, unbelievable quality of signings has been made, and the cost has been pretty low. I agree, Martin. We've kind of mentioned it tonight and previous pods tonight. That the value that we've had has been phenomenal, considering the amount of money we've spent and the quality we've got a player. But I think overall, I'm the same as you guys. I've been very positive than as obviously last year's window. And obviously, that's the deadline finished. There's been nothing else happening. So, but again, it's been phenomenal to be involved in the kind of build up for Ange. Getting into obviously the summer, didn't know what was going to happen. And then you get excited when you get Jota and Abada, Kyogo, and obviously now you've got O'Reilly come in, guys like that. So I agree with yourself, Kenny, that I think we will be fine. I think the same way Ange. I think it is a process we need to trust, and we've no doubt not to trust the Jaffa as it stands. But again, this is the last leg of the Deadline Live podcast we've been doing tonight from 6 PM until obviously it's 20 past, just about 20 past midnight. So tonight I'll be us calling it a day. But again, thanks for all the contributors today. It's been brilliant to be involved in, putting out lots of content for great feedback. Again, Sam, John, hail and take care.
Night, lads. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.